I got a call from homicide that said that Tariq had been shot and killed. I thought it was mistaken identity. It didn't make any sense. So I very quickly hung up on homicide and called his home. He had just gotten engaged with his girlfriend Jennifer, and she answered the phone because she couldn't say anything. She was just sobbing. And that's when it hit me. It was the last delivery of the evening, and he was lured to a bogus address in North Park. As he was about to leave, he was accosted by 4 youth gang members. 3 of them were 14-year-old, and the leader of the gang was an 18-year-old who handed a 9mm handgun, gave the order to a 14-year-old, and the 14-year-old fired 1 round, which entered my son's body under the left shoulder blade. And Tariq died a couple of minutes later, slumped in the front seat of the car over a lousy pizza at the age of 20. I never felt pain like that. It was, if you can imagine, a nuclear bomb detonating in your heart. One of our tradition is the father stands in the grave to receive the child's body. We bury dust to dust. So he's in a white shroud and on a litter. All you can see is his face. There is a finality here that I have to say goodbye to him 6 feet underground. I still don't know how I had the strength to do that. And I went through all the emotions you would anticipate a parent to go through. Unbearable grief, despair. I was suicidal at one point. I really did not know how to go on with my life. But I recognized that there are victims at both ends of the gun.
We begin tonight with the sentencing of Tony Hicks. He is the 15-year-old trigger man of the killing of a pizza delivery driver.
It was one of the worst shocks that I've had in my life.
First thing I did was to call my daughter. And she asked me, she said, "Do you believe Tony killed somebody?" I said, "I don't want to believe it. I guess I wanted to not accept that as reality." And I knew that life would change forever.
On January 21st, 1995, I shot and killed Tariq Khamisa. I'm sorry for killing Tariq and hurting his family. I'm sorry for the pain that I caused with Tariq's father, Mr. Khamisa. I pray to God every day that Mr. Khamisa will forgive me for what I've done.
For the first time in California, a 14-year-old was prosecuted as an adult. Tony confessed to the murder, waiving his right to a trial, and received a sentence of 25 years to life in prison.
I asked the district attorney that prosecuted my son's case to introduce me to Tony's grandfather. And I told him, I'm not here screaming, revenge or retribution because your grandson killed my son. Rather, I'm here in the spirit of compassion and forgiveness because what I really see here is we both lost a son. I can't bring Tariq back from the dead. You can't get Tony out of prison, but the one thing you and I can do is to make sure no other young person in our community end up dead.
That act on his part really got into motion a healing process that has really benefited me.
This man's grandson killed this man's son. And they're sitting here together today because this is possible and because we don't want what happened to Tariq or what happened to Tony to happen to any of you.
Tony, he had been really exposed to a lot of gang involvement. One of his favorite cousins being murdered in a hail of automatic weapon fire at the hands of rival gang members there in Los Angeles.
Tony is as close to his son as I'll ever get in this life. Later that night, when his so-called friends planned a robbery of a pizza, Tony broke down like a little child, and he cried and screamed and told me, "I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm really sorry I did this. I love you, and I hope that you can forgive me for what I did." And I didn't hesitate to let him know that I love him. Held him in my arms like he was a little kid and comforted him and let him know that I understand that he's very sorry for what he did. But he made choices that resulted in the death of a person. Now he's got to do the right thing. And I know that you know what to do. And I'll just look forward to seeing you in court tomorrow.
On January 21st, 1995, I shot and killed Tariq Khamisa, a person I didn't even know and who didn't do anything wrong to me. I have a lot of problems in my life. However, I don't want to use my problems as an excuse for my actions. I still don't know why I shot Tariq. I didn't really want to hurt him or anyone else. I'm sorry for the pain that I caused for Tariq's father, Mr. Khamisa. I pray to God every day that Mr. Khamisa will forgive me for what I've done. My grandfather promised me that he would be Mr. Khamisa's friend and help him in any way he can for the rest of his life. I'm very sorry for what I've done. Thank you for giving me a chance to give.
There is nothing quite so painful as a broken heart. But a broken heart is an open heart. For me to complete my journey of forgiveness, eventually I had to come eyeball to eyeball with Tony. He was in a New Folsom prison by Sacramento. And we were together for an hour and a half, and at one point, we locked eyeballs. I'm looking in his eyes, and he's looking in my eyes. And I'm looking in his eyes, trying to find a murderer. And I didn't. At that point, I told him, Tony, you know that I've forgiven you because I've been working with your grandfather for over 4 years now. And I want you to know that when you come out of prison, you have a job at the Tariq Khamisa Foundation, and you can come work with your grandfather and me. As I was leaving the prison, there was this big weight that had lifted off my shoulder, because at that point I knew that I had completed my journey of forgiveness. The next day, the grandfather calls me and says, Azim, that meeting you had with Tony has totally transformed him. Because prior to your meeting him, he would tell me, Daddy, I'm not going to make it in prison, I'm going to die. And as you were leaving, he looked at me and said, Daddy, that's a special man. I killed his one and only son. He's not only forgiven me, he's offered me a job. I'm not worthy of his forgiveness, and I'm not worthy of his job, but I'm going to try.
The truth is, I was afraid to face Azim. A man who must hate me in a way only a parent who had a child taken from them could. I was saved by Azim, who reached out to give me a hug. It was a hug that felt like he had been waiting to give for a long time. It was genuine. Azim seemed to me to be the strongest man I had come across. I felt unworthy of being forgiven by him or anyone else in my life, but I will do my best. I owe him that much.
I have forgiven Tony. Do I love Tony? And that I thought, my God, I have to now walk that journey. And I really cried, because if I look into your eyes and if I tell you, I love the kid that took my son's life, that is a taller order. Now, if you ask me, do you love players? I would say, yeah. I'm not there with Tony yet, but I will be. I have a lot of empathy with Tony. I have forgiven him to the deepest level that I can forgive him. Someday I will learn to love Tony. And I can feel it. I don't have to understand it. It is part of every cell of my body. Over the last 24 years, I think I've taken the fatherly role with him as well.
I can't put words that mean enough about Azim's generous hand of forgiveness and how that's affected all of us. And that compassion was something that, again, will stay with me as long as I live. And that's why we're here with the kids, is to give that love back so that they understand they are loved and cared for.
And I have a lot of respect for players. 23 plus years later, we're still together. He's been by my side, by my support, would do anything for me. He's always told me that I have your back and I trust him. He's as close to me as I often say as my own brother. So, thank you, brother. I truly believe peace is possible. How do I know that? Because I am at peace. Every one of you in this room is a very important person. With love, our shattered hearts will heal. And it's love that fuels the voyage of his soul. But we will have to feel pain we don't want to feel if we want our hearts to once again be whole.